Hola. Sound check. All right. Cool. Welcome, early stragglers, to my desktop. What's up, Patrick? Gold took a hit overnight. Just like laddered right down to the 20 SMA. So GDX with it. My only loser right now in my little hedge fund, which I talked about Tuesday, which is still wonderfully intact, is HYMC. I'm going to sit in this thing. Anyway, we'll continue to wait for people to file in. Of course, if there's anybody here that was sent by support for demonstration or help, you got priority. What happened overnight was Microsoft's earnings. Let me just start with the cues. This market found a way to have a nice bounce. Okay, looking at the NASDAQ leaders, come right up and just kiss the 50-day moving average 1-2 days, and then waiting for a catalyst. So market has a funny way of kind of positioning itself before big events. And Microsoft, and then today, Microsoft, Amazon yesterday. And today we've got Apple, and what's the other one today? It escapes me. It'll come to me. Microsoft was yesterday. Gapped the market up. Amazon was today. Amazon is today. What was yesterday? There was another one yesterday. I forgot. So, hey, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Patrick. Patrick mentions Meta. It was Meta. Thank you, Ritman. I knew it was a big one. Yeah, he beat you by a nanosecond, Patrick. So that was the story of the yesterday, right? So the NASDAQ, and oftentimes it's not going to just grease through during market hours. No. It's going to make you commit and put risk on and reward those who took the risk. Get it? So the gap overnight was rewarding the risk takers, myself included. I mentioned I went kind of full hedge fund on Tuesday because I was expecting that we were just going to pause here. I was calling this our holding pattern. Remember, if you were with me on Tuesday, and we were waiting for a catalyst. Well, with those two earnings yesterday being decent, I would think Amazon and Apple today hopefully can follow suit and continue to reward the overnight risk takers. So I came into today in my cash account, 401k, with zero buying power. And the risk was definitely on, we'll put it that way. And so I took a lot off the table on the open. Took a lot of nice things, like I had some NBIS. Right. Sorry, back channel. NBIS, and took some right off the table on the open. I had some ARQQ, took some right off the table on the open. Oklo, which is a great segue to what I just saw Patrick talk about. I want to mention something here. I was just talking to Brian about this, and Andy. Oklo, and write these down if you don't know. Oklo, all right, number one. SMR, number two. Gosh darn it. I'm going somewhere with this, trust me. SMR, number two. NNE, number three. What are these stocks? All right, well, they all have some decent short floats. But out of all three of them, I just bought some SMR in another account for a family member. I happen to own Oklo, but I'm liking the way SMR is peeking its head above the 50-day SMA. So what's the story here? Now, coming into right now, the story on these things was, hey, AI, $1 trillion infrastructure, NVDA, hundreds of thousands of GPU. We're going to need power. We're going to need, and so modular nuclear reactors are the way to go for many reasons. You can get them permitted quickly. You're not building a whole station. They're built as a reactor, like an RV or a modular home in the factory, sealed up tight and shipped, delivered, and dropped in. Now, that was the story. But what it just occurred to me yesterday, I was watching Trump's cabinet meeting, and he spent a lot of time with his commerce secretary discussing, like, almost $3 trillion now have been committed to investing in factories in this country. NVDA, chips, I think some Taiwan chips company. And one factory that he mentioned was so large. I mean, they were talking just hundreds of billions of dollars, I think, to build it. So anyway, this was the key point. Trump said, and part of the deal for getting these people over here was giving them the assurance that they will have the ability to create and control their own energy on site. He pretty much told everybody what's coming. So not only are we building AI sites, the tariff thing is forcing companies to come back and build new factories here. And those new factories just can't tap into the existing electricity. And he even had mentioned that. He says, and whatever's left over that they might still need, we can discuss them tapping into the infrastructure grid. I mean, he's literally telling you what's coming. So I just bought some SMR long term. It's got a nice short float and it's above, technically. And then I'm in Oklo in my 401k. So I wanted to touch on that because it kind of occurred to me that here's some charts that might start confirming the story. And the story, maybe Oklo, maybe that's part of the reason. Other people were tuned in and listening to that yesterday as well. But Trump tipped it off. These giant manufacturers of new factories are going to need their own on-site power, and nanonuclear energy is going to be the way to go. All right, Jay, am I still bullish on the market? Yes, I am. And I came in today with zero buying power. I can't buy anything. All I've been doing is just fading off of, taking off of winners. It's a lovely feeling. And each one of those turns into cash tomorrow that I can start to redeploy into new ideas or trade arounds. You receive trade ideas layout from someone. It appears up great. I want to find out and create being used in each of the windows. Find a way out the criteria. Okay, I understand your question. So here's my layout. Let's say you have your layout. All you need to do is right click and go to history. And the best way to do it is to go to this summary tab right here. And what this scan is telling me is it's looking for these type of stocks with these criteria. That's going to be the best way for you to go through that layout and see exactly what's happened. And what you can also do is right click and go to a history and start checking out the symbols of the history, yesterday, today, or whatever. And you can look at that next to a chart and see how that looks for you. Okay, and thank you, Chris. Let me qualify that. So you're on an M window. That's even. There's one step you need to do. There's one more step you need to do. I'll bring up an example. I know this to be an M window. Okay, so you've got all of these strategies in a multi-strategy window. You have to first go into the sublayer strategies, and then you get to what I was showing you, configure. So you can do a configure on each active strategy, and you can see exactly what is going on. We don't have level 2. Level 2 will be supplied by your broker. We have level 1 data that runs all that we need to run. All right, let me try something here. I was talking about gold and silver earlier. Metals and mining. Just making sure I didn't miss one. So I was talking on the open about gold and ideas. And for those that, don't have a layout, like somebody was asking, Raleigh. You can peruse your way through and shop through. There's a blockchain channel, but here's a channel focused on metals and mining, and you can start to see some different ideas. All right, we have this already set up. There's no need to configure. And here's a silver. Right, here's a silver chart. You can also add a gold chart if you want to. You can. What I'm saying is, you can configure this if you want. You can change things up a little bit. But the point being is, if you're brand new and you open trade ideas and you're a little bit overwhelmed about where do I go from here, not everybody has trading experience. So there's a lot of ideas, of course, the Holly AI long and short, just all pre-built, pre-created ideas for you to kind of point you in the right direction. One of the most important things and quickly overlooked things that people miss is this right here. This show more button at the bottom. If you click show more, it takes you to pre-market, which probably should be above the fold. Pre-market is probably one of the most popular places for a new trader to start. You come in, you sit down with your coffee, you open up the market. You can pretty much be assured that everything on these tree maps up and down, gapping up and down for the day, are going to be the stocks that are in play. So all your news guys are going to be in there. And then once the market opens, you can switch to explosive winners and see which ones are moving. But I want to caution people on the explosive winners charts. Just because something might come through in real time as a new high, it might already be up 20%. So you just want to avoid chasing things on the explosive winners. It's just going to probably kind of confirm what's in play during the day. All right, let's see. I was checking out the market. So we kind of pulled back a little bit through. Obviously, the gap is still holding for the most part from the Microsoft and Meta earnings. Are you able to share scans on YouTube? No, Jay, but what you can do is you can send one to our email, and then I can open it up and we can bring it up here live and we can look at it. All right, just say attention, Steve. Send your cloud scan to that, and then I can open it up, and then you can ask me what you want to ask about it. If that's what your intention is, if you want me to look at your scan, I'm assuming. Now, I've still got a lot of orders out on things that are working. For instance, I want to go back to technical analysis here. This Oklo sold half of it right there at that giant blue line. That blue line, if something is coming up underneath it and I'm in the money big time, I've got to sell half. The 50-day moving average is usually going to catch and trap that stuff. So I've got some other orders that are sitting out, maybe waiting to do the same thing. Nibis, I'm waiting to sell some at the 50-day. If I can get some, I'll take it. ARQQ's above its 50, I believe. Yeah. Might be too embarrassed, but yeah, don't be too embarrassed. Some people don't even know how to send a cloud scan in here. So you're already one step ahead of them. All right, Oklo alert just went off. That means it's pulling back. I've got no buying power and I'm not going to add to anything. So let's see. I'll wait for, I'll take a look at I'll monitor the inbox there, Jay, because this is the kind of thing we want to do on the live session. We don't want to just sit here and listen to Steve ramble about the market. We would like to learn how to in depth use this product in ways that other people may not have thought about how to use it. Of course. And anybody at any time, if you want to, if you've got a chart that you're kind of fretting or mulling over and not sure what to do, you can drop it in the chat window here in YouTube, and I'll let you know what I think about it, unbiased. Seeing some red. I know Dan showed something like this yesterday. This is what we call a compare count window. Some people call it a worm. And as the market pulls back here, you're just kind of seeing a market pulse. And I can use a high-low ticker like that, or you can add a little bit more depth to it and a little bit more analysis to it. If you'll notice, I just started from scratch, so I can't go back in time. But if I keep this running, what a lot of people do is they'll minimize this, and maybe if I remember, if a little gnome reminds me, we can check in on that. But for the moment, the minute I've opened it here, it's kind of telling us that there's some pullbacks. I'm seeing a lot of red new lows, 15-minute lows. The NASDAQ didn't really want to try and hold that higher low. So that worm, or that compare count window, as we call it, is a way to give us pause, right? If you're a long only trader, you probably don't. There we go. Why can't I get that up and hold it? Hang on a second. There we go. Freaking Windows. So this will continue to update, and the more data it gets. But for the moment, this giant red is saying, hey, if you're looking to buy things, why don't you hold off for a second and maybe wait until the green kind of maybe gets closer to something more palatable. So there's an example of something people might not read. Okay, a couple of when the green gets to the 50% level. Still waiting, Jay. If you don't want to send it, that's cool. Sale. Oh yeah, somebody wants to look at sale. So it's a relatively new name. How do I know that? Because the 50-day SMA is now just starting to draw. 20 started to draw back here, and it's recapturing down here. It doesn't look bad at all. So if you're long this name and this thing pops for you, like I was just saying a minute ago, like I did with Oklo, there's your target right there. So it doesn't look bad. And you look intraday here, it's above its 5-day, perfect. It's holding its 10-day perfectly. That's a good looking chart. Oh, Andy's favorite, TTD. He talks about this one all the time. Again, same kind of thing. It's taking its own sweet time, but the minute it does get a bid behind it, it's going to run right smack into that 50-day SMA. All right. Jay, I'm not sure if you're sending that email or not, but let me know if you send it. If we check in on the compare count window here, it's like counting cards. Are the odds in our favor? No. Nope, they're still not in our favor. Maybe when they get up here around 50%, if that was green. But, it's just a great little tool to keep, in the corner of your layout somewhere. I just use kind of a high-low ticker. If this thing starts to turn green, making new 15-minute highs, then I know probably got a lot of bar reversals out there. 15-minute bar reversals. If I see 15-minute new highs, then all of a sudden I would, say this thing is confirming. It's up to 16% now. When we first opened it up, there were only about 8%. money machine pulse positives versus negatives. What is it looking at? Some people are probably asking. So right click configure, and you can see quickly in here, we've got about 4 or 5 events. It's pretty much what I was just saying over on my high-low ticker, but we're kind of transposing a high-low ticker into this visual. And you can see along the bottom here in real time, like a Chiron crawl, what's getting. This is kind of what I'm seeing, as a level 1 layer in my alert window. So what these things do is kind of take it to the next level and give us a historical pattern. And maybe when this green crosses the red, forget this, but look more of the moment, right? If that green were to cross that red, that's probably a moment to start pressing it, put your foot on the gas. Guess what? Yeah, I can share this. Look how easy that is to share. So anybody, I keep that minimized, but anybody can run that. That sale chart travel show looked like it had more upside potential than TTD. For whatever reason, TTD is in a horrible downtrend. Sale's still kind of a relatively new name. And it looks like it's trying to break its trend quickly. This tree map over here is nothing but short squeeze names. So like, if you're looking at some of these names, you don't want to chase the new highs, but maybe we find one that's ready to pull back like this JNVR. It's got 33% short, right? So what if we just use the power of a pullback, maybe this high right there, and we say, I'm not chasing it here, but the shorts might get excited if it pulls back. I can make an entry right there using the trade ideas alert telling me price alert triggered. And these 33% people still have to figure out, do they want to be long or short? I'm sorry, a stock like JNVR that's breaking out. So, look, it only took me like 20 seconds to just kind of parse through my, system here and maybe find a future opportunity. So you're looking for bearish candles at or above the top end of the Bollinger Band. What time frame would you be looking for? Because I might have an idea. What's up, Mike? Give me a time frame. We have to do an alert. Okay, good. So let's start from scratch. Let's knock out 2 of your first concepts. Bollinger. 15-minute Bollinger, add filter. Just keep that there. But what if I also want, let's go to candlestick patterns. Sorry, candles. Is it these? Oops. Perfect. All right, so let's look for I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try 15-minute hammer, but I'm going to invert it in a minute. So I'm going to add that alert, add the hammer, hide the unused, specific filters. Now I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to say it can't be more than 5%. I'm doing the bottom side, and then we can always invert it. So it's right down there at the 5th percentile, no more than 5th percentile. Let's do some basic stuff up here. Average volume, 300,000 shares. Doesn't matter if it's up or down for the day. And let's see what we get here. No, I don't have the Bollinger Bands up. I could put those up, but we're looking for hammers here. Okay, so there's our hammer candle. That's our event. Let's overlay some Bollinger Bands. All right, so look at what we've done here. I know you asked me for bearish, but what I did is I worked backwards into like using a hammer candle that's bullish on the low end. So now let's duplicate this and invert it. I know Dan showed you guys the invert feature yesterday, flip. Okay, they're calling it a hanging man. You know, that's what I was trying to avoid, but I'm just going to see how these look. All right, AWN. Bring these down a little bit. Let's look for a history. Okay, that was earlier. I want to see a better. Now remember, look where the blue arrow is. So a lot of these are still behind us. So a lot of these happened about a half an hour ago. But if we look right here, we're kind of getting something. We're getting something at the high end of a Bollinger Band. Honestly, I kind of like the bullish one better. If we go history, low end of the band here. Let's just try a couple more. You know what? I think I want some more. Hang on a second. Those are odd. Oh, that's why. Hold on a second. Here we go. All right, we're going back in time. This most recent one, I think, is the most interesting. Yeah, this one's the most interesting to me. Now, again, this is really crude. You know, that's why I'm getting a lot of noisy stuff on here. So you would, Jay, you'd want to take this and maybe start saying, well, what do I want to see on the daily? Do I want to see things above the 200? Do I want to see things in a position and range that are doing well in a 10-day range? But that's kind of the gist of it, Jay. I'll give you the bearish one, but this is the concept. Close those. That's for you, Jay. That one. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Open to learn. Yeah, okay. It's all learning. That's why you're here. That's why I'm happily, helping people that do want to learn. Trust me, the people that don't want to learn, they come in and they go, when will your system tell me that something is going to go so I know to buy it? Think about how ridiculous that question is, honestly. I mean, I hate to say it, but we see it all the time. We don't know. Our software can't predict. It's not a crystal ball, but we can help you find things that kind of corner the data into an area that you want to see. If you don't know what you want to see, then we've got some ideas we can show you as well. But there's no substitute for what Jay is doing, coming in and asking questions and learning. Because the shorter you can make your learning curve, the less money you're going to learn when you start trading live. Please fix the crystal ball. It's not working for Chris. There must be a filter off on that one, Chris. You must have a time filter. You need to go negative 2 minutes. So we need to look forward in time using a negative value. Change in negative 2 minutes. Yeah, okay, perfect. I see some questions. Let me turn off those Bollinger Bands because they're annoying me. Okay, Jason, hello. Can you review how you use the pullback to the 130? Yeah, so they're for longs, and you're talking about this one right here. Oh, Oh, look at this. I just happened to click into Sting, STNG. Now, are all of these on here going to work? No, I'll go through and I'll click through and we'll show you some ones that bled through. But the question is, again, how can you review how you use the pullback? Okay, so it's a long strategy. So let's think about this. If I was thinking about buying STNG and I saw it pre-market, it's the worst thing you want to do as a new trader. Listen up. Right on the chart. That's funny. So he beat me to that joke. Think about the people who really wanted to buy Sting, and you're an amateur, and you think, oh my God, they're gonna gap it up. I have to buy it here pre-market 39.75, and then you realize the market opens. That was the worst mistake of your life. But what if you still were watching Sting and it's on your watch list? You know, watch it, and you're running this scan, or maybe like me, you've never even heard of it, and you pull it up, and you see, bam, tag one, bam, tag two, two nice little 15-minute hairy wicks sitting and tapping right on the 130. This is about as safe as a risk reward entry you can get. Why? Because if you're wrong, there's your out. That's a much better risk reward entry, right, than this amateur who had FOMO. And FOMO is the worst thing you can ever do in trading. It will never make you money, ever. But you have to remember that Trade Ideas is great through scans or other ideas, you know, helping you create a watch list throughout the day. Holly might have a great call, but it's a bit extended. But you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, look, it pulled back to 10 SMA, or it pulled back to a price alert I set. It really does require kind of a 1-2 punch. And I know people are used to technology, and I don't fault them for it, because we do live in a day and an age where you can pretty much do anything you want on your phone. It tells you when your car is coming, your ride share, what corner to stand on. It tells you how many minutes it's going to take to get to your destination with traffic and update in real time. We can't tell you what's going to happen in 5 minutes. We can tell you what's happening right now. So Jason, that's a long strategy. Let's go through a few, right? So I just said, here's an opportunity. Here's how I would play them. I'd say first thing is first. Always first thing is first. What does the daily chart look like? Daily chart's in a downtrend, and the 50-day moving average is having its way with it. It had its way with it again. However, that's not to say that this day can't be the turning point. Let's take a free look. You buy it down here, you know, maybe you bid it, you get it at 37.40. And if it closes below the first closing candle, that's your out. That's my rule. So how do I play it when it doesn't work? The first closing candle, when a 15-minute completes, if it's back below this key line, that's my out. So again, here's my little free look window, paper cut window, versus a horrific FOMO trade by chasing it up. You know, the farther away you get, you know, if your 5-day moving average here is rising, which is good, that's a good sign. But the farther away you get from it, the more likely you're going to have for a reversion to the mean. So why not be patient and wait and use that reversion to the mean? And then Trade Ideas can just even let you know in real time. All right, let's go through a couple here. MDB is the most recent. Daily chart, pretty ugly, probably pass. Sting, yeah, I said we'd give that a try. And we can do that. So let's bring up a trade ticket. Let's go ahead and just click the button here, and I'm going to say, yeah, market. Let's buy $10,000 worth right here. Submit. Don't even need the trade ticket if you don't want it. Now I can set my stop. Look at this. I'm sim trading. Let me open this up a little bit. I'm sim trading. Dropping it right there. We put a target back at highs. If we bring up Brokerage Plus, we can see it is in the Brokerage Plus module. I not seeing? Let me try this again. Did my stop loss go? Now, I want to point something out here. If you hover over that X, it says close to flatten this position. I've mentioned that to Brad. It's kind of not intuitive because you think, oh, I can close this info box. And Dan, if you're listening, I can close this info box with an X click. Nope, that sells your position. So that was something that I kind of learned the hard way. Let me come back to it. Ah, there it is. If I zoom in, I get that margin. I need that margin right there. So click one for a stop. Is that not sticking? Notice if I click this, it takes that off. If I wanted to get rid of it, turn that back on. I'm just trying to figure out why I can't get this stop to set. All right, we'll come back to that, Dan, if you're watching. Couple more. So we put a sim trade on that, right? Okay, here's one that came through earlier. It bled through. We don't want that. We're looking at the blue line. We're trying to find things that are bouncing off this blue line using the scan. Oh, look at that, IEX. Let's sim trade this. Market, submit. Got it. Okay. Let's try again. Click, drop, click drag. I've tried click drop and click drag. Dan, Chris, Brad, if you're watching, I can't get these, and then they show up again. Okay. This is a development version test, by the way, so that's why it's a little buggy at the moment for me. So I now have two positions. I've tried that. Yeah, I tried both, Pepe. Click, click, and click, drag, click. So if I zoom out, there they are again. Okay, these are but click, click, wait. 1, 2, nothing. There's the target. The red is gone. The target, click, click. Oh, I know what it is. It's me, damn it. Watch this. Properties, show orders. You buffoon. I am a buffoon. Okay. What I need to do is save this layout because for whatever reason, this version layout I saved, I did not have that. For those that missed it, properties, show orders. It's working just fine. Okay, let's look at another one. Nope, that one bled through. Don't like that. That one bled through. All right, so maybe something new came through here. Let's see. Ooh, look at this one, BAX. Again, I'm still working on the question that was asked about how do I use this scan. Thanks, Chris. Yep, that was it. That was me. User error, by the way, that's 99% of the time it's user error. It's just trying to figure out how the user erred. All right, so here we go. Let's try a different way. We can go trade ticket. We can go, I'll just do a market. Buy now. Take the trade ticket off, and you can see the same thing is there. Click the stop, drag it, click it again right there. Click the target. Let's give ourselves a nice risk reward. Oh, actually drops it there, then you extend it. Okay. So it kind of drops it in its own relative area for you, and then you have to work it. You don't get to drop it exactly where you want it. It drops itself, and then you adjust it. Okay. Do you offer mentoring? You know, some of us do, some of us don't. I don't. This is kind of my mentoring hour and Tuesday this week, so take advantage of it when you can, but some of us do. You can email us. Yes, I can share this 5-day scan without a doubt that we're talking about here. And we can go back and look at those 3 sim trades that we just put on with no risk. Let's see if we can learn anything. So I'll just actually go back to the Brokerage Plus so I can see all of them. All right, that one's pretty much flat. This one's up 41 bucks. This one is, oh no, these are open P&L. No, they're all down. All right, so they're all not bouncing. So maybe I tighten that stop and you can get the picture. NASDAQ holding up. I'm liking to look at the NASDAQ. Why? Because look, it totally took out its 50. When we look at the S&P, which doesn't have as much tech in it, it was a bit more attached to its 50-day. So when I want to see what the market's doing, I always just kind of quickly go to NASDAQ. All right, let's see if I missed anything. Trading in the zone, yeah, that's a good one. And Brian Shannon's 2 books, AVWAP and Multiple Time Frames. I'm using this 5-day moving average and building a scan around it, and had trade ideas, add the filter for it because Brian showed me and I felt it was such a positive indicator. Okay, I've got a symbol that I'm watching for the week. Can I bring up the positive negative window just for the stocks? Yes. Okay, so let's go new compare count window. And in configure, okay, it kind of gives you a template to work with. And that's a good one. And if you wanted to add more, you could, or you know, maybe change new high to 15-minute highs, whatever. But that's configurable. But here's where you do it. All right. Let's say I wanted to drop this is my main list right here, this 401k high low. These are symbols I'm either in or have been in or watching or trading around. And I can watch them in an old school format alert window, but it's called the 401k. So what you do, again, you open new compare count window, and then you go to configure, and then you slide across here to symbol list. If you haven't made that symbol list yet, you make it, and then you could use the heart button or whatever for the my liked, and then use my liked, but you just go down and you would find, you know, your particular symbol list. Where's mine? 401k. So I highlighted that and then click that to enable it. And so that's how you would do that on both sides. And then you would have the configure on the both sides on the downside. So you drop the same symbol list into your downside and then run that. And then you can just kind of use that worm to monitor the symbols that you want. All right, Jason, good. And then once you got it set and you're like, hey, this is really cool, I dig this, you've got to go to File, Save Layout. So if you leave the program and don't save layout as your default, you're going to lose all those changes. Do I like John Murphy? Yeah, I've always liked John Murphy. I watched him in the 80s and 90s on PBS and CNBC. And yes, John Murphy, I think, was obviously an old school technician. He was probably using pencil and graph paper at one point in his career. You know, what's interesting is they've all kind of found something interesting, right? Then you got John Bollinger. Somebody asked me earlier about the Bollinger Bands. So it's the same thing, just different guys, and they slapping their names on an indicator to either try and find something that's oversold or standard deviations or McClellan oscillators. Two things. Ralph Acampora is very cool. He runs the CMT. Brian Shannon's a big fan of his. Andy met Ralph Acampora. Patrick, tomorrow you can ask Andy about that. He's got some good Ralph Acampora stories. So 2 ways to save your layout travel show. Once you got it the way you want it, it's always a good idea to early and often save it and let it be called your default layout, as you said, on the computer. But every now and then, I'll just update my cloud layout too. So I can save to cloud and entire layout and just save that with a date. Now I've got that forever. If something happened to my hard drive, or if I go to my other computer or layout, I can pull up that using the cloud. Some of the things I'm in, let's see here. Tesla bought back yesterday. Where anybody care to guess where I bought Tesla yesterday? I mean, it's just probably pretty obvious, but I watched how things gap down. I watched Tesla and I go, wow, you know, if it makes it down to that level, I'd like to buy some. So I've got like a really good entry in Tesla. So I'm just watching that one. And it's going to back up hopefully and try again to take out the 200-day, which would be the third attempt. And then I will be holding on to Tesla. MindMed was interesting. Again, on Tuesday, I mentioned this is kind of the new administration stock. And wouldn't you know it, yesterday, the new administration had a cabinet meeting, and the Health and Human Services, or I'm sorry, the VA administrator said they're going to start looking to treat post-traumatic stress order with veterans using psychedelics. And what do you think happened? MindMed took off. Now, what I think happened was there's probably a giant buy order in this thing. And that comment at the live cabinet meeting threw off their plans to work a big order. You see how it's slow. They spiked it and just reversed it. No, you don't. They brought it back to the VWAP and started working a big order again. That's how big orders are worked, near the volume weighted average price. You're not going to have retail just bump into this thing and have the big institutional guys go, oh shit, now I got to pay up for it. Nope. They'll slam it back down and market make it and bring it back down to the range where it can be accumulated. So I'm in that one. Nibis is a stock Dan showed me. I've been watching this one forever. I sold some on the open because it was giant open, but now it's bleeding. Have to keep an eye on that one, but at least I got a good sale off this morning. Oklo, we talked about the nano nukes. Oh, so this is what I want to see. Oh, no, that's not Oklo. Never mind. It's not what I want to see. It's bleeding back down through. So the momentum run from the silver is now dying as these candles bleed below my 10 SMA. But I've still got half left because I sold half at the 50. Pretty much just above here. ARQQ was a small quant stock that I bought yesterday because I noticed it was strong on Monday and got a great open and sold some of the highs here. I still have half. Gonna let that one go, but that's been my plan, was to trim out some of these early morning runners that come out of the gate just going nuts. I like to use that to peel off a quarter, a third, or a half in Oklow's case, a third in Nibis's case. Talked about Tesla. I'm still in Kodak. This is, again, not doing much technically. I'm waiting for the story, the chart to confirm the story, but this could be a domestic manufacturing story. But if it doesn't do anything, I'm going to sell it and recycle that cash into something that is doing something. But as long as it's not just hanging out, I'll keep that one. This is a copper stock, TGB, and it's not following through. Look at where it found resistance, everybody. Boy, that's just a solid wall of resistance. So at the end of the day today, if this TGB doesn't look good, I will liquidate it and sell it and turn it into cash for tomorrow. And then HYMC, I mentioned, as a mining stock, same kind of a thing. I'm probably not going to sell this one. I'm going to sit in this one. And that's all I've got. Hello, under my channel bar, I only have metals. Is that the same as mining? Yes, that would be the same. This is the Windows version. If you're on the web version, it's an older legacy version. It might be different, but just so you can see what I see. If we scroll down, here's metals and mining. We do have a show more button. With some other different pre-configured ideas, but the metals and mining is pretty much going to be it. And this chart here, by the way, is a comparison chart to silver to gold, I believe. Let's take a look real quick. Yep. See how it's a comparison? So I'm glad Dan pointed that out to me earlier. It's a single chart window with a line, but the gold line is showing a big dip on the open this morning. So relatively speaking, silver is relatively stronger to gold. I wonder what that would look like on a different time frame, like a daily. It's the opposite. I think we all know that. We've been talking a lot about that. Silver has been underperforming gold on the daily. So that's a nifty way there to show how you can quickly, compare two different instruments in one chart window. So I hope that helped in a trade. I've actually got to run and attend the next meeting. Jason, good. I'm glad that helped. And you'll be here tomorrow. Add copper to it for a third line comparison. Yeah, you could add FCX probably. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and say good night, good day. See you next week. I'll be on Thursday. That's interesting, Patrick. Yeah, you used to do that for SLV and PSA. That's a good idea. Good use of technology. All right, Jay, you're welcome too. And you'll be here tomorrow. And have a good day, everybody. See you.